Hello, I'm Super BRG, and thanks for joining me today. If you watched my little primer video, you know that we're getting into the 10% rule, and hopefully turn $100 into 1,000. Not hopefully, spoiler. I've done it a bunch of times, which leads me to my next point. Entertainment purposes only. You got that? You understand? You get it through your head? I have to say it. I don't have to say that, I mean to say that. I want to say it. Entertainment purposes only. Anyway, moving on. Someone told me I should say that. Make sure you're not liable. Liable for what? What? Playing cards on YouTube? Okay. Anyway, so today, before we really get into the nuts and bolts, we have to take a serious moment and talk about, because we're trying to make money here. We have to have a plan, so we can't be too aloof about this. You know, if you went on a date, you'd have a plan. If you bought a house, you'd have a plan. But for some reason, when people go into casinos, that kind of rational thought goes out the window. I do it for fun. You lose money for fun? Do you? Wow. What's your day job? Anyway, oh, day trader? Checks out. So we're going to talk about how we practice. We're going to talk about why we're practicing on blackjack, because there's better games, frankly, than blackjack. We're going to talk about how we shuffle. We're going to talk about pretty much how we keep casino conditions in our practice area, because it's important. It's important that everything we do, every move we make, is the same move we'll be making at a table. You want everything to be muscle memory. And so just for a moment, let's talk about why blackjack. Why not baccarat? Why not pai gow? Why not roulette, craps? This system that you're about to learn works on everything, because it's an investment system. It's not a gambling system. It's just conservative investment based on very good speculation. I.e., if you know your game inside and out, you can play this a little better. Okay? But blackjack is the most played game in the world. I mean, there's just nothing. People want to say poker. I'm talking about casino games. Poker, you go in there and you play against another guy. That's kind of why I never liked it. I like taking casinos' money. You know, when you play poker, maybe not now, but in the 90s, before the big boom and stuff, like, it was always you against a farmer or something. When you won, I just tell you really hit them in the... Switched to table games and never looked back, and have never been happier. But I'm not downing poker. This will work on poker too. You probably won't win very often if you use this on poker. But this is really geared towards the table games in the casino. And blackjack is used because everyone knows blackjack. I don't have to go through the rules. Everyone knows. You can go up to someone that's played cursively and do you split eights or aces? Oh yeah, always. Okay, so as opposed to craps, where I'd have to do 15 videos, you know, on the inside bets before you could even... It'd be really complicated. So, for just a moment, now that we've established basically nothing, and I've talked for, 3 minutes. Dear God. Man, did they sell head deadener? Sort of, right? I gotta do something about that. Just signaling people. Somewhere there's CIA satellites, teletypes going crazy. Alright, so, what else can we talk about? Oh, the actual cards. You might see here, I have 3 decks of cards. And really, the decks of cards doesn't matter. I play single deck only. I sometimes play double deck. The same rules will apply, but never more than double deck. I always play at a table. It's got 3-2 odds, never 6-5 table. Again, these are things you should know. If you're watching this, I'm going to assume you know all this. This is advanced stuff. This is once you know the game, how can I make it pay? You know, that kind of stuff. For entertainment purposes, of course. So, these 3 decks. One's a Copag. 2 are Copag decks, you know, regular. Nicey nice decks. Poker decks, I think, actually. Then the middle deck. The middle deck is a custom deck for Super BRG, of course. And what the dice means is that deck has been shuffled already. If you see a deck and it doesn't have a dice on it, it means it needs to go into the shuffler. And speaking of into the shuffle, meet the Shuffle Master 4000. Hello. This is the single best purchase I've ever made for gambling in my life. If you want to be serious, if you want to know if your game is accurate, I think I'm getting some whisker action here. My compressor is too high. Anyway, so this was not cheap. It actually is a Shuffle Master 4000. It might be a 2500 or something. I can't remember the actual name if you're being that pedantic. You're that concerned with the minutia of my shuffler. But this is a table-used or casino-used shuffler. It was in, I think, an Indian reservation casino in Memphis for 5 years or something like that. But there was a time, these have been superseded now, these little beauties, and you'll still find them in private games all over the world and in some international casinos, some kind of like Bahamas type of casinos. You won't find these in the States anymore because there's a newer, bigger, badder guy that does all sorts of different games, and instead of having to buy a shuffler per game, like a shuffler for Baccarat, shuffler for Pai Gow, because that's what, Baccarat's got 8 decks most times, so that's a lot of shuffle. It's a different shuffler. Now they have one that does it all, so you don't have to buy different specialized shuffler. But there was a time when this was a very common shuffler to see. You would usually see it cut in a hole, a little square in the table, and they'd pop it in, and the tray right here is where the cards come out. Can you see that? Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and do one, right? This is kind of loud, but it is pretty neat. Pretty neat to watch. This is part of the legitimacy of what I'm doing. Nothing on this table is something out of a supply store. Everything is casino used. We're going to practice casino conditions on the rules, which we'll get to in just a moment. And we're going to practice casino shuffling. So no one can say, once I've shown you this, and again, spoiler, this works for entertainment purposes only. It works for entertainment purposes only. What's he trying to say? It's a mixed message. It is so accurate. You have to reduplicate everything you're going to do in the casino exactly. So this is how that's done. And these are not cheap. A casino shuffler, if you wanted to go buy a shuffler right now, about 15 grand, about $15,000. So not to be taken lightly. But it's very important. It's the best tool you can have because this eliminates the biggest problem with practicing at home, which is a professional shuffle. And why do we even want a professional shuffle? Because we don't want to be able to count the cards. I can count cards. I want to shuffle so much that counting cards is now negated. It doesn't matter. We're not going to go deep enough into the deck. We're just not going to use card counting at all. Why? Because the average person can't count cards. I can count cards. Can you count cards? I'm not talking to you, smartass. But the average person can't. So let's give this the biggest disadvantage possible. And that way, when it still works, no one can say anything. So on the front of this is a number 3 and this is number 7. Kind of hard to see the numbers there. The reason for that is I have the contrast on this camera turned up so you can see the card faces really well. Ooh, I'm not going to flip that third card. That's not... So this is a 3 and this is a 7. A 7 shuffle is a long kind of poker shuffle where, what was it? Shuffle, shuffle, riffle, shuffle, 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 riffle, I think. You card players know what I mean. Number 3 is the blackjack shuffle, so there it is in action. I'll show you. It's kind of loud. I don't know how... I can see it's kind of loud. But anyway, it'll pop the card out over here when it's done. You really want a professional shuffle. It's the most important thing. If you can't guarantee that what's happening in front of you in practice is what's going to happen in front of you at the casino, well, there's no point practicing at all. And just for a moment, speaking of card counting, if you can count cards, whichever method you use, opt 1, opt 2, high-low, Houston. I use one that's called Red 7. That's my personal favorite means, and maybe we'll do a video about that. If you can count cards, this disc gets more powerful. But more often than not, when you count and you're just by yourself, all that really happens is you've lost before the rest of the table. You're kind of screwed before the rest of the table. So this pops them out right on the side here. Lift up, Gurkha, and then that goes on there. And that means it's shuffled. It's been shuffled. Okay, pretty simple. And our friend, the shuffle master, goes off to the side, back into shuffle hibernation. So if you see that means these cards are ready to be played. The reason is it takes a long time to do the shuffle, right? So when I start, I shuffle the cards. I don't know, maybe I should do that on camera. You know what, I'll start doing that on camera because I can see where someone might be like, well, when he cuts away, he stacks the deck. It's just not necessary. It's not necessary. And this isn't a system. This isn't a betting system. It's just responsible gambling for entertainment purposes. Anyway, what's left? Well, we should probably talk about what table games we play. We only play single deck and double deck. Well, screw it. Why don't we just look at the rules? Here are the horse rules. House rules. The dealer must hit all soft 17s, even though it says opposite on our vintage pre-fire MGM Grand table. The deal are, of course, the monster deals cards on planet Earth. We play single and double deck only, like I said, and 3 to 2 odds tables only. This kind of cuts out the riffraff. Here at this table, we shuffle after every 4 hands played per deck, no matter what. This creates a very consistent form of inconsistency, meaning you cannot count. You can double down on any 2 cards. That includes aces. Of course, doubling after the split is allowed. You can split aces up to 2 times. And of course, in any good dojo, no surrender, no mercy, and by all means, if you can, sweep the leg, most importantly. What else do we need to cover here? I think that's about it for today. I really just wanted to talk about why we play blackjack, how we're going to practice, and why we practice the way we do. And the long and short of that is to keep absolute casino conditions. Because learning everything we're about to learn is pointless if you can't get up from here, go to there, and sit down and find the same thing. Same exact thing. You wouldn't practice in an F-16 simulator and then go into I don't know, some other damn plane. That's what that plane's called. Some other damn plane. Some other damn plane cleared for landing. Anyway, now I really am rambling. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to take a coffee break, and we're going to get into the actual math, the nuts and bolts of how the 10% rule works. It's going to be great. I got all sorts of graphs and charts and overlays. Anyway, we'll see you in just a few minutes, and after my coffee.